Well, g'day everybody. Hope you're having an amazing time at Arec. How impressive were those guys getting on stage and doing those push-ups? I don't think I could even do 5 on stage, actually, I'm embarrassed to say. But I'm here to tell you a little bit about social media. My name is Sherrie Storor. And before we get started, I thought I'd fill you in with a little bit about my history. So here I am. I'm a lead agent at McGrath Estate Agents in New Farm, and I've been in the business since about 2001. During that time, I've been the principal of my own chain of agencies and also a director of a large corporation specialising in residential. But about 5 years ago, I chose to come back and become a residential salesperson and get back on the tools. And to be honest with you, this was a fairly daunting prospect, as I hadn't done that since 2004. So obviously a lot had happened in that time, and I knew in making this decision I wanted to get cut through very quickly. I wanted to become successful very quickly. But finding the right way in which to do that was quite difficult. I knew I had to work harder than anybody else, and I used to pride myself on my street in New Farm, the agency I used to work with. There's about 5 different real estate chains on the street, and I used to love getting in first thing in the morning and leaving last thing at night and seeing that my car was the last one on the street out of all the agents. I knew I had to go and do more courses and more training, but I came along to an Arec about 5 years ago, and Tom Ferrier was talking about social media and what was happening in America and the cut through that agents were having. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe there's something in this. So I came back home and I chose to do a little bit of research. And I couldn't really find anybody who was doing social media in a big way within our industry. And certainly couldn't find them really doing it in Brizzy. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe there's something in this. I've really got nothing to lose. I'm a pretty good networker. Maybe I could be a great social networker. And hence I created my own social media empire. So hands up everybody who's on social media. Facebook, Instagram, so pretty much a large portion in the room. And put your hands up if it was one of the first things that you did when you got up this morning. Yeah. So just as we're all sort of aware of, most of us within this industry, and let's face it, our industry is so magnificent in the fact that you can be somebody who's 20, or you could be somebody who's 72 and selling real estate from all different generations and backgrounds and ages and genders and so forth. But it is the number one social activity on the internet today, and with seeing everybody's hands up today, that certainly is a testament to that. But I think more importantly, the one really great point that I heard about from Steve Carroll, actually from REA, was that the average Australian spends 1 working day per week on social media. 1 working day per week. So I was just blown away by this. That's more time than people are spending in front of television, reading newspapers, even spending with their loved ones. So the reality is that if you're not actually on social media, you're actually missing opportunities. You're missing business. We sell real estate in a really different way to what we did 10 years ago. And, we have a look at other industries that have been revolutionised, such as Uber for the taxi industry, or Airbnb for accommodation, or even Tinder for dating, which of course has just, changed it all with one swipe. It's no different for our business. And so the way in which I use social media is very much as a prospecting tool. It essentially is helping you to build another database of warm and hot people in order to call. I love when I'm going into a listing presentation, and sometimes they're a cold one. The first thing that I'll do is I'll get up and I'll research them, and I'll see if I've got anything in common with them. So it can be common friends, common likes, and I'll do that by jumping on LinkedIn or Facebook. But it gives me some common ground and some, commonality. But the second thing is that, let's say you're going through RP data and there's a particular house or a street or a building or something that you want to prospect in, and you're not necessarily able to get those phone numbers. Well, you can jump on social media, jump on LinkedIn, find out where they work, and boom, there you've got another number that you may not have had before. So essentially, by using social media, it's a way to build your profile, to make more sales and get more referrals. Simple as that. But it's also a great tool for differentiating yourself between the competition. So I know that this never happens to any of you, but on occasion you might be in a listing presentation where a vendor might say they really can't see any difference between yourself and another agent, and it's all coming down to commission. But if they're on your social media, they're actually seeing a little bit about you. They know why you're different. They know what you're doing in your community. They're actually getting to know a bit more about you. And what I love about this is the fact that it's actually attracting more clients that are like yourself. So it's easier to do business with these people. You know, I don't know about you, but sometimes we have vendors that can be a little bit difficult. When you're dealing with people who already like you on social media, they already understand what the business is going to be like. So I thought I'd give you a couple of examples of some recent sales that I've made, and this has all been as a result of social media. So meet Jeffrey. Jeffrey's a well-known hairdresser in Brizzy. I actually met him at a dinner many years ago with a couple of friends, and he liked my Facebook page, and he sent me through a few referrals over the years. One of them was this house here, Lockharlton, in Gregory Terrace in Spring Hill. Now, this particular property, we did a strong auction campaign, and we're lucky enough to get the front cover of the Courier Mail in Brisbane. Sold this property just after auction for $4.2 million. And during this process, I actually listed another 2 properties, one of which was this home here, Eaton House, again on the street in Gregory Terrace in Spring Hill. We did another very strong auction campaign with this particular property, and again got the front cover of the Courier Mail. Now, we've actually put that property under contract just 2 weeks after the auction, somewhere in between $3 to $3.5 million, which is great. So it's due to go unconditional today, crossing fingers and toes and everything else. That buyer who has actually put this property under contract, I've also appraised their home, and we're hoping actually to list that at the moment. That's circa $1 million. This is the other listing that I got from Lockharlton. We've listed it now. It's currently being styled. It's a beautiful home up in Coorparoo, and you know, we're taking it to auction on the 16th of July. So that's a pretty magnificent residence. But of course, sorry, just coming back onto that. So from Jeffrey, we had 3 listings in excess of about $12 million, 2 sales which are in excess of about $7.5 million, and currently I've got 1 appraisal on the go. But they're not all multi-million-dollar listings, and the listings that you might get referred, or the business that you might get referred, may not necessarily be your perfect sort of core area, or your perfect style of business. And I thought I'd just share another example. This is Angie. Angie actually used to be my flatmate many, many moons ago, and we've stayed in contact through Facebook. She had referred through a couple who had moved to WA and wanted to sell their investment property in Holland Park West. We ended up styling this property and painting it internally as well. They'd had quite a bad experience with their property manager, and were a little bit distrusting about real estate agents, but the power of Angie's referral really helped us with that. And so look, we ended up putting the property online, and within 24 hours, we'd sold the property with 6 written offers, and we'd also managed to get an appraisal. So that home sold for $650,000. So quite often I have a lot of people who come up and say to me, look, Sherrie, social media is not for me. All my clients aren't young people. But the reality is that where I get cut through, most of my clients who engage with me are 40 years and above. One of my biggest raving mad fans is John and his wife Susie. Really well known and really well connected people in Brizzy. He's now retired. He loves social media. And he's always putting up pictures about his kids and his boat, sending me through lots of articles about domain.com and realestate.com. I think he doesn't realise that I read them as well, but I love the fact that he thinks he's helping me, which is really cool. Now, I met John as he purchased this property here, Ryala. It's a beautiful penthouse-style residence. One of my first transactions that I made when I got back onto the tools, and that was purchased for a little bit over $1.7 million at auction. He then went on to list his property, again, very strong Courier Mail auction campaign in Holland Park West, and I sold that under the hammer for $1.510. John's referred me lots and lots of business over the years, but I thought it was important to show these townhouses in Marsden. Again, not normally something that I would normally list, but out of the 12 townhouses, John and his direct family and best friends actually bought 5 of them. So it was a really easy sales for me. So, essentially I've made 7 sales directly through to John and his family to date. I've currently got 2 appraisals on the go, which I'm actually hoping to list on Wednesday, and they're in excess of $3 million. So, how can you build your own social media empire? Well, the most important thing to remember is that different platforms require different language. So if you're on LinkedIn, you need to be very, very formal, as opposed to Facebook, which is all about kisses and hugs. And of course, it's totally acceptable on Twitter to abbreviate everything. One of the big messages coming out of this Arec is to be authentic and to be yourself. And I think this is a really great way to show that. If you believe in motivational quotes, put motivational quotes up there. If you don't, then don't. People will see through it. If you do want to put pictures up and you want to make them up yourself, I would suggest getting an app called WordSwag. I use that all the time. One thing that I do absolutely religiously is I add every single person into my database. So I actually use a CRM program that allows me, when I add somebody in, to also link them up on Twitter and LinkedIn and so forth. So you just have to add every single person, whether it be a realestate.com lead, domain.com lead, you meet them in an open home, whatever it may be, you've got to add them in there. And a tip, in case you missed it from Tom yesterday, he was talking about how you can actually upload your database directly into the back end of Facebook. So if you don't know how to do that, I'd suggest jumping onto to YouTube and learning how to do it. But again, it's a very, very important way to build your social media. So put your logos on everything. If you send out a newsletter weekly or monthly, put your logos on there. Any advertising that you do. Quite often when I sell a property, I'll send a text message out to everybody who inquired on that. And if I don't have another property to promote, then I'll generally sort of put a tiny URL link to my Facebook page. One of the other points which I think was brought up this morning too is to ask your sellers to share everything. So as soon as we list a property for sale, we actually have a template that goes out which shares the 3 listings, and then we ask our clients to actually post them on their Facebook and on their social media. So the house at Eton, the gentleman who owned that was a partner in a law firm. He was so excited to actually share that on his LinkedIn. So that actually helped me engage with clients that I may not have necessarily had cut through with, which was absolutely fantastic. And you do need to be consistent in your approach. So, every day you need to post. You can't just post for 2 weeks and then all of a sudden do nothing else for another 6 months. You can't just post your listings. That's really boring to people. But consistency is the key. People are constantly scrolling through. So, what you need to put up there needs to be extremely relevant. For me, I guess I like to share myself, but not too much. And I think, Frederick yesterday was talking about how he really likes to share everything and his whole life. For me, I don't mind keeping some things private, but I do think that not everything is relevant to our audience. And I think how Australians, relate to social media may be different to America. And as much as we like to think we're celebrities, that's not always the case. But I think when we sort of have a look through this, our vendors don't always want to see us, out having a drink on a Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock, especially when we're doing an open home at their house at 9 a.m. the next day. So I think it's important just to have a bit of a paring back on that. And as Tom says, give, ask. So if you're, if you're wanting people to give you listings and if you're going to ask them for listings, you need to give them a lot of information before you can ask something in return. And focus on one platform. So if you're just getting started, just focus on one. If you're not sure how to really do social media, I'd suggest asking some teenage kids, whether they be your next door neighbours, your grandkids, whatsoever. If you don't have any around you, which I didn't have, I just started going to social media breakfasts for small business, and that's really how I learnt how to do things. There's a lot of courses that you can do today. Some of them are cost effective, some of them are quite expensive. And if in doubt, just go to YouTube. So for me, the one platform that I really focus on is Facebook. What I love about it as a consumer is it's a great way to keep connected with my family and my friends. It's really important how to choose your page, whether it be a friend page or a like page. So when I first originally started, I did have a friend page, and Facebook changed it over to a like page. And at the time, I was absolutely devastated as it wiped all of my content off, and I essentially had to start again. But it actually did me a favour, to be honest with you, because even though I was asking people to be my friends, yes, they may have accepted, but the reality is that they may not have been interested in what I was posting. So they may have chosen to unfollow me or to block me anyway. So, I treat real estate as a profession. We're all professional people. We utilise this as a business. It's best to actually go on Facebook and show that you're a business person. So it's not about the number of people that you have liking your page, it's about the engagement that comes back from it. And I think, looking at some of my posts that I've done in the last 24 hours, I had a picture last night with John and Frederick, and that got, I think, nearly 200 likes with no boosting. And I put a video up this morning, and I think that there was about 18 people that managed to see it. So you do actually need to boost and pay for your post if it's going to go on there. I think the things that I like to post on my page, videos, testimonials, things that I'm doing in the community, where I am, callbacks, things like that, I post 2 to 4 times a day, and I personally do my social media. So I don't have my assistants do it or anything like that. It's got to come from me. That's why people are actually choosing to buy and to sell with me. So I don't know about you guys, I loved Frederick yesterday. And I think this is a really great example of how to show your true self and how to get cut through with an audience. So most of us, we love $1 Million Listing, and what makes the show so great is the fact that you've got these 3 really unique personalities. So again, that's very obvious in their Facebook pages. So if you have a look at Frederick's and Ryan's, both very different, both quite authentic to who they are, but it really works for them. So LinkedIn, as I mentioned, is a very professional sort of page. It's not something where you can put lots of em-joys or kisses up. You just need to keep it very professional. I love to use the app. When I wake up in the morning, I can see who's got a work anniversary or a birthday, or they're starting a new job. So it's a really great way to keep in connection with people. It's also a great way to meet your new circle of influence. So if you want to refer through to a new lawyer and try and get into their little circle, I think that's a great place to meet them. Also, too, I think it's a good way to find some vendors where you can research and find out a little bit about their history. And more importantly, LinkedIn is all about tomorrow's clients. So there's a huge, huge, huge take-up from today's youth. And as we know, quite often parents do actually ask their kids what they think. They're really concerned about their opinion. So Instagram. I think it's really important. You need to think about your audience and who is actually on your page. Are your clients stay-at-home mums? Are they business people? Are they gay? Are they straight? Are they young? Are they old? What sort of people are they? Are they family-orientated? Are they single? And that will really help you to work out what time of day you should be posting and what sort of content you should be posting. Again, I have 2 pages on Instagram. I have Sherrie Storor Property and Sherrie Storor. So, I'm able to change between the 2 quite easily now on Instagram. But if you're trying to build a database within your core area, you can actually just go to hashtags, and you can actually find your suburb, and you can actually try and engage with people in that way, which is really good. The other thing I'd say is use aspirational real estate. So every Aussie, we love real estate, so put as many images up as you possibly can about homes for people to aspire to. But I would just say, again, look at your audience. If you're selling $200,000 or $500,000 properties, don't be putting $70 million penthouses up all the time. It just will create a disconnect more than anything else. So my 5 top tips are to be authentic and be yourself. Add everybody and research your hot buyers, your pipeline sellers, and your circle of influence. Use those aspirational images. Archie Porn is alive and well here on Instagram and on Facebook. Ask your sellers to get involved. People want to be a part of your success, and give before asking. So everybody, thank you so much. Have a wonderful Arec.